So this week we watched Home Alone 3, which is a 1997 family comedy directed by Raja Gosnell and written by John Hughes. The story follows Alex Pruitt, who is 8 years old, and lives in Chicago, and basically follows him as he tries to fend off spies who try to take a secret computer chip out of his toy car. So yeah, that was the film.
Generally, I was not a big fan of this movie. When I saw that it was close to 2 hours, my jaw kind of hit the floor. Like I could not imagine what possibly would happen that would make it that long. I think you could easily cut it out like a half an hour of it. And it would be entirely the same. I actually before I was kind of, I don't know. I didn't want to pay. I didn't want to pay to rent it. So I found like a version of it on YouTube, and it said it was the whole movie, but it cut it down to about a half an hour, just like a half an hour. And I got what was happening. Like, it was fine. And then I went back and I watched the whole thing. But yeah, it made sense at about a half an hour long. So it was unnecessarily long. I felt like the dialogue was all really slow. Like, it was all delivered really, really slowly, at a strange and annoying pace. But that's all I'm gonna say about it.
I would agree with you. I feel like the first 3/4 of the movie were so boring, because like the end part where there's obviously he sets up all the booby traps and the whole shebang is going down. That's obviously the interesting part that grabs your attention. But like for the first, for the majority of the movie, it's just like these people breaking into different houses, him calling the cops on them, the cops coming and being like, "Stupid kid," and that's like it. And his siblings being like, "You are awful," because the cops broke down the doors of all our neighbors, and now we have to pay for it.
Solid 20 minutes of the movie was just villains running, child chasing them with toy car.
That was like, as a chase scene, that was like a little better than them just like him seeing them through the windows.
Right. Yeah. But I certainly like agree with Flora in the sense that maybe that portion could have been cut down, as well as the latter portion after Alice wraps up Miss Hess in the garage, and there's that whole chase scene. But yeah, a good majority of it was groaning, breaking things, screaming, yelling. I feel like it lives up to the family comedy genre. Definitely targeted towards a younger audience, but also suitable for older audiences, I suppose. I don't know. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I was about to watch it. You know how there's like the warnings in the corner? If sensuality was one of them, I was a little confused. And then I was a little confused. They had like the older brother had like a poster on his wall of like a fully naked woman that Alex literally uses as part of his booby traps. He's like, "Oh, I'll just take this."
They're boobies.
That's good. That's a good one, Nicole.
Thank you. But at first, when the camera panned into that room, I thought it was Alex's room. But I didn't realize it was Stan's room until, we moved into Alex's room. Also, on the topic of, Alex and kind of mature things, this boy was way too mature for his age. He spoke way too eloquently, and he was way too self-aware. I remember when he was in his bed talking to his mom, there was a part where he was like, "Oh no, you're gonna leave. What if, I dream of like snakes and dragons and other figments of my imagination?" It's like, wait, you're 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I was like focused on like those little Zuzu pets that would run around.
I love Zuzu pets.
That was it. I wasn't like concerned about figments of my imagination coming true.
No, that line struck me too. I was like, you are like the writers with that was a little too making him too self-aware. I keep stuttering. I'm sorry.
You're okay. You're good.
My cousin, one of my cousins, all my cousins are little. One of them is 8 years old, and her main thing is showing people how well she can sing.
Aw.
But yeah, no one was focused on warding off bad guys. Like, it was, I suppose, as an 8-year-old, when you're young, you're taught to like call the police in case anything bad happens. But then there comes this idea of no one believes the kid, and I think that's one of the lessons that this movie tries to teach. Like, listen to your kids.
Children.
Yeah, just because they're young, sure, they may have a wild imagination or whatever, but you have to believe kids because sometimes shit happens.
All I
Yeah.
know is that I think with all the Home Alone movies in general, I mean, the funny part is that like they're coming up with all these booby traps that no 8-year-old would logistically be able to do. But I feel like for some reason this struck me more than like Home Alone 1 or 2 would. This kid just seemed younger. Like, he seemed more mature, but he seemed younger than Kevin was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think that he would know where all of like the floor, like he used like floor wax. I was like, I don't think he'd know where that was even kept. I wouldn't at 8 years old.
I don't think
I
I'd
feel
know
like
what
the
that
point
was at
is
8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the point is to be cheesy. Like, all the other Home Alone films are really cheesy and like they're not at all realistic. So I think in that sense, it really lived up to the other two films. But I think this one went a little bit too cheesy. I think it tried to like overcompensate for the fact it was a completely different cast and just ended up being kind of super obviously cheesy and it's not as entertaining.
I mean, I guess that's what you get for the third sequel where the main cast isn't even there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And different director.
And different director.
Speaking of Alex being like too mature, there was at one point when he was in his bed and he was like monologuing about how he was gonna defeat these bad guys, and he was like, I'm not gonna cry about it, I'm not gonna be scared. Like, all right, buddy, it's okay if you are. Like, those are completely like people are systematically breaking into every household on your street. Like, it's okay, like you can be, it's fine to be afraid of things.
You should be scared.
Yeah, like,
if you're an 8-year-old,
exactly.
like, I would be petrified and I'm 18.
Yeah, if that kid, like, it's more concerning that he wasn't scared from that. Like, he was just like, I'm gonna set up all of these traps and everything's gonna be completely and totally okay, and I don't have to worry about anything ever. I'm totally cool and not scared at all. Like,
do you know what struck me the most about the whole thing is when he pretty much, they're all falling into different traps and they're like continuing to fall into different traps. He could have called the police during that and they could have come. But he didn't. He like wanted them to suffer and like fall into all of his traps. And I feel like that kind of says a little more about him. The fact that he didn't even care about calling the police for his own safety. He just wanted them to fall into all of his traps and like leave on their own.
Yeah. Ethan,
his pride is going to get him someday.
Absolutely. So Ethan, did Kevin like react more terrified in the first two movies? Because I'm pretty sure Nicole, I know you saw them a couple of years ago, but I know Ava and I have never seen them. So was Kevin's reaction similar?
Like, he was snarky, but like that kid Alex was just annoying. Like, he was like annoyingly snarky, but like Kevin in the first two movies, like much more of a funny way. Like, you actually laugh when he was snarky. And this one is like, shut up.
The Home Alone and Home Alone 2 feel a lot more like classics, and Home Alone 3 just feels like a parody. It doesn't feel right. It feels like it should be, not even associated with the name Home Alone.
Right.
It's just a totally different thing. I feel like, the dynamic duo of the two robbers, I know one of them's played by Joe Pesci. I forget who the other one played by. But it just feels a lot more dynamic and a lot more engaging in entertainment, especially for being a family comedy, because you want to sit down and watch this with your kids. I would much enjoy sitting down watching a Home Alone and Home Alone 2 rather than Home Alone 3, like with my family.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like the four villains, that was too many villains. Like I couldn't. They also all looked identical. Like they had it was weird, except for the woman. Like I could not differentiate between the three dudes the whole movie. It was really, there were too many. They should have just kept it at two. I think it would have been better. But like, I guess for like realism's sake, it's like a spy team, but also this kid has like is like an engineer, like creating these traps. So it didn't make any sense. They should have cut down on the villains.
Right.
Yeah.
No 8-year-old should be the smart. I don't trust
Exactly.
8-year-olds that are the smart.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I was doing when I was 8 years old? I was wearing these sunglasses.
Ooh.
I had my drip, but I was not doing that.
Right.
I like that you have the glasses handy.
Of course. Where else would they be?
So this film was kind of riddled with like 90s family comedy tropes. There was the like business dad who was too busy for his kids and who was kind of distant. Like I think there are so many movies, so many Christmas movies also that have that. I can't think of any though, so kind of a moot point.
Home Alone 1.
Yeah,
Home
okay.
Alone 2.
Yeah. There was Hook had distant business dad, although I think at the end he repaired his relationship with his son. Anyways, there's also a weirdly Eastern European kind of ambiguous villain. This is definitely, the film is a product of the times. It came out in 97, so it was like 6 years after I think the end of the USSR. So that fear, that collective fear of that accent, of that strain, of that kind of homogenous push together all of these different countries' accents would have been, I think, still prevalent in pop culture. Any others?
There's also the grumpy old woman across the street trope that wants nothing to do with the kid. And, the kid goes over there and shovels and whatnot, but she's still an absolute Grinch until the end of the movie where the 8-year-old miraculously saves her.
Yes.
And, she's repaired her relationship with this 8-year-old more than the dad has.
Asks her what kind of soup she wants.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Doesn't he call her like an old...
I was just about to say that. He calls her an old bird. Like, he insults her. And she's like, you're such a nice young man. Is he, though? He just, like, came close to killing 4 people and and then insulted you. I don't know how nice he is.
Yeah.
I loved when he was getting her out and, like, the head villain was there and he was like, please, she's very old and very cold.
Like, also, I don't think she was all that old. Like, she was probably it looked like she was in her mid-60s maybe.
Or like 70s, yeah.
Okay, like, she was able to navigate through an airport completely fine. Like, she was traveling on her own. I don't think she would need to be babied as much as she was by Alex. Like, obviously being tied up in Chicago in a garage, not going to be great for anybody, but she was like, she's just so weak and small and pathetic. And I'm like, all right, that was a little weird.
Like, so are you.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah. And you have a bowl cut. Sit down.
And chicken pox.
Yeah.
You have a bowl cut and the chicken pox, and you're wearing flannel pajamas. Sit down. Go to bed. She kind of reminded me of the old lady from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
Mrs. Dubose or Dubois? Right? Oh, I don't know. Just without the morphine addiction.
Oh, all right, fun.
Yes. I was going to go back to the tropes and talk about, there's that one Boy Who Cried Wolf trope where he kept calling the police and then they came and they're like, oh, we don't believe you. And they kind of, I was going to talk about that too.
Right.
And then there was like I think it was the ending scene when the FBI agent came back and kind of he did the like, you know what,
Yes.
kid, you're all right. He didn't exactly say that, but it was
Mhm.
that vibe. It was that energy.
Yeah.
That was very cringy.
Also, the way that it was so not serious when in real life it would be such a big deal. He's like, "Here's the chip." I was
Yeah.
like, "Thanks." Puts it in his pocket.
No.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah,
that
he
could cause
just put
like
it in his pocket.
thousands of people to be killed. He's just like, "Here you go."
No.
And then when he pulled out the picture out of his coat, the officer did, he's like, I've been chasing this guy for 7 years. And like you'd think it'd be a little more serious than just thanks. And like move on. You'd go
Yeah.
into
The fact that he
investigation.
didn't even ask him that right away, he was just like, "Did he look like this?"
Yeah.
Like as if people are being taken away. The guy who
Mhm.
escaped. They don't even try to look for him.
Yeah, but
exactly. He's
Fair.
in the area. They
Yeah.
know he's in the area.
But the igloo
Yeah.
that blows up that no one knew was gonna blow up gives off the signal and there
And of course
he
the
is.
bird sets it off somehow.
Yeah.
Bird knows how to use a lighter, or I meant to match. But he still knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how'd they build an igloo in the first place? Like the getting an igloo right to have a roof is like incredibly hard.
Yeah. Like that was a perfect
I don't think
igloo.
he could have just like done that for fun.
It was also pre-existing. Like he didn't build it for this movie. It was already there. Like he didn't build it for the traps. It existed, and then he was like, I should go put whatever you call it, firecrackers in there.
Fireworks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Just in case.
Maybe his siblings built it.
Yeah.
If I built an igloo and took all that time to make it perfect so that the roof wouldn't fall, and my younger brother blew it up
Blew
with
it up.
firecrackers, I would disown him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's something interesting to look at. This I don't know if this is quite a trope, but there are so many deadly traps, like, besides how ridiculous like the traps are, like aside from that, like no one died.
I
If
don't
you
understand how
sat,
no one would die from
if
all
you
of those
sat
things.
on an electric chair, got zapped till your ass was fried, and then, got blown up in an igloo, I think
you'd be dead.
you'd be dead. Yep. Or
And that was
Yeah.
only the first one.
die.
But
Right.
when Alice
Okay.
falls down the elevator shaft.
Mhm.
Two men, jump on the trampoline and go through the trampoline. They would definitely have hypothermia, and in severe condition, they wouldn't just have like a block of ice around their
Yeah.
leg.
They didn't try to move. They
Yeah.
didn't try and get out of
Yeah.
that at all. They were just like, all right, well, here we are.
And then
This
Alice
is
was
what's
like,
happening.
was like
Yeah.
this in the elevator.
What stuck out to me the most was when Alice got stuck in the tar and then a pot fell and broke
Right,
on her
tar.
head. And then not even like after that she was fine. And then she got hit twice with floorboards. And then she fell down an elevator shaft. Like she would be dead.
See, I feel like
Yeah.
it's half the fun though. I feel like it's like because like the first two, like they should have been dead too. I think it's like half like the fun of like the cheesy movie. Like it's unrealistic. I think this one took it a little bit far. I think once again it's kind of tried to over exaggerate from the first two to compensate for the fact that it wasn't as good, I guess.
Home Alone
Right.
2,
Kevin wasn't
but
there.
put it on steroids.
Right, because like
Exactly.
it is ridiculous that the villains didn't die, but also like imagine if they did. Like this is a kids movie. Like imagine if they showed one of them
Exactly.
dead. That would be insane. That would that would so I guess they didn't really have any other choice because I don't think you could kill one of them in this movie. That would be that would actually be really funny. I would love to see like a parody where he ends up killing all of them and he's just this 8-year-old that has committed manslaughter. That'd be fun.
The
I
best
think.
thing would be if he wasn't even shocked. He's like, my booby traps worked.
Exactly. Exactly.
And now I'm getting a 6-figure sum from the government. Like, hold on.
Oh.
Hold up.
Wait a minute.
Pause.
You're 8.
My sister came in to the room in like the last 30 minutes that I was watching, and we were both like, they should be dead. They should be dead the whole time. But I turned to her and I basically said the same thing that we're saying now. I was like, imagine if one of them just died. What would he do?
Oh,
Would he be like, oh no?
The 4 of
Or would
us.
he be like, bad guys? I feel like he's too young to understand the real consequences of like physically maiming people. So he would view it like Roadrunner cartoons and be like, the bad guys died.
Yeah.
My jaw dropped
Yeah.
when Alex pulled out the gun, and I was like, no way.
He was like, you might want to run now.
Exactly.
Like, this kid definitely needs to be in some therapy programs, maybe a DBT program.
I feel like I've certainly seen
maybe
other
see a psychiatrist.
I feel like I've certainly seen other movies where there's this, over mature, self-aware, very young child who just wreaks havoc upon everything. And it feels like it's something I've seen before. I feel like that's a trope. But this movie just ups the ante just a little too much, to the point where I'm actually scared for my life while watching it.
I feel like the worst part about it for me is that every time I see those characters of like the way too mature little boy, they annoy me so much. I hate that trope.
Yeah.
I feel like the best example that I can think of, I don't know if any of you watched the Full House reboot, Fuller House, or some episodes of it.
Yeah.
One of the kids is that kind, and I had to stop watching because of him. Me and my sister tried to watch the first season. We were like, Max.
Yes, Max. Yep. I tried watching that too.
He would wear a suit and tie every day.
Oh.
Yeah, I could not handle it.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to change the subject, one other trope was like definitely the older sibling, like their kind of relationship with Alex, the snarky, like, you're a loser kid. Like, I don't have siblings, but I don't think that's how siblings talk to one another. It just felt very like it felt like it was written by an old guy that was like, this is how kids talk to one another these days.
When you're like,
Yeah.
when you and your siblings are like in second grade and you're trying to insult each other, yes. But like, not when their siblings are in middle school.
Yeah.
Like with my sister when we were in elementary school, I definitely was like, you're a loser at some point to try to get to her.
Yeah.
But like, it's a little exaggerated that they said it so seriously.
Yeah. I have a younger brother, and our form of trying to one up one another was like getting into fights. So I would just like shove him on the couch and be like, "Oh, you're so stupid." So
my sister used to do that to me.
But that's when we were young, and now it's just, he'll like walk by me and say like, okay, poopy face. Like, we're just older. So the dynamic between the three of those characters really weren't realistic in any sense.
Oh yeah, I think in the first two, like they definitely had the same dynamic of like kind of the older kids kind of bullying the younger kid. And it was funny in the first two, and this one is like straight mean and like did not make sense. Like it was like, what? Why?
I've also, this is a little off topic, but I found it humorous that we had to watch a movie with Scarlett Johansson before for our class, and it was very different from this one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
For context, that movie was called
Under the Skin, right?
Under the Skin.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson. Very different. She is an adult.
Mm-hmm. It's weird to see stars that are known for more recent films in older movies. It's like, wow, you were just a baby. You were just getting started in your career, and now you're huge.
Yeah.
I feel like it also makes me uncomfortable to see stars who are like who play like quote unquote scandalous roles as children. I'm like, ooh, I feel like I should your adult self do some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you as a child. It's awkward.
Oof. I didn't even think about that till now. Now I'm uncomfortable.
It just Under the Skin popped into my head, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oof.
Our next segment is Trivial Trivia, where we all found a different piece of random trivia about Home Alone 3, and we are going to discuss them now. My piece of trivia is that this is the only Home Alone movie where Christmas is not mentioned, because I think the first two definitely circulate around it being Christmas. I mean, they're going on trips for Christmas and they forget him. But this one, somebody mentions the date is January 8th. So like Christmas is coming on and it's not mentioned at all. I think when they go to the taxi driver and ask him about the house, he says there was like a Christmas tree at the end of the driveway, which people do when Christmas is over. So it was very apparent that, like, I guess they wanted to make it different than the first two in that way.
Right. And it's funny because Ethan, I think, you chose this movie because we were expecting it to be a Christmas movie, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So I think that was definitely interesting. We saw snow in the title card, and we were like, it's Christmas. It's just another Home Alone movie, but it's like, just another winter film.
The environment is very Christmas-like, but they don't actually mention Christmas.
Yeah. And it's a very nice Chicagoan, like, suburban area. You got Tudor-style houses, and it all just seems so festive, without context. Like, if you were just to see an establishing shot of the movie, you'd be like, oh, of course it's Christmas time, but it's not. It's set up to be something it's not.
The director, Raja Gosnell, was the editor on the first two films, and this is his first time directing in this film. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. The explained similarities.
Cool. Sorry.
But I think is another nod to why we expect this to be a Christmas film. Same people working on the same things. But it's cool that despite none of the original cast even being mentioned, Gosnell was able to, like, bring the world of Home Alone into just a totally different universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of different universes, so this doesn't have anything to do with the first two movies, which, okay, it begs the question. Like, is this occurring in the same universe? Obviously. But then, if so, that means Kevin McAllister is out there, and he has undoubtedly heard about the story, right? Because, I mean, these are spies trying to steal, like, a missile launcher code thing. So, like, he knows that this 8-year-old is, like, his kin in some way, his prodigy, like, exactly, his family. I wonder if there's ever a Home Alone 4. I think this should just come into a movie pitching show. If there's ever a Home Alone 4, it should be Macaulay Culkin training, or I guess Kevin McAllister training Alex to hone his abilities in the best way possible, and so they become this super team of.
We can make that movie.
Yeah, we should. We should do that.
Already 5. I think there's a 5. I think there's a 4 and 5.
I think there is
unbelievable.
That's way too many.
Cast each time. I think
so many.
The reason I know this is because my dad's coworker's son watches all the Home Alone. He's also 8. He watches all the Home Alone movies on repeat, and I think my dad said that they were 5.
So I discovered that Oleg Krupa, David Thornton, and Lenny Von Dolan all play. They're the 3 main villains, and they've all appeared as villains on Miami Vice. So I think this is interesting to look at in terms of a potential typecasting that we've yet to discover. None of us know too much about the cast, and I think if anyone out there at home is interested, this is something to look into. Because this goes along with the whole idea of the tropes, typecasting, all following kind of the same line of villains. So after we finish every episode, we like to do a segment called Spot the Clarkie, where we discuss who we may think would attend Clark from this film. And I am, like, after this conversation, I don't know.
It does have a very limited cast of characters. Like, there aren't that many, but I was thinking, this is completely very random, but there is a scene where in, like, the very, very beginning of the movie where the thieves realize that they have switched the bags, and so they're standing in a line in the middle of the San Francisco airport. And there is an extra walking by, and she has like the mom jeans on kind of thing. She's definitely like an older woman, like she is like in her maybe early 40s, and she has I don't know how else to, it's like those collared long coats, but they look like they're like wool and they're like brown and khaki, and she's like a cream turtleneck on, and I was like, it's her. She only shows up for about 2 seconds though, so random unnamed extra walking through airport, she'd go to Clark.
Yeah.
I have 2 ideas. One of them is the older sister Molly, who's played by Scarlett Johansson. I feel like based on her room, she seems kind of like different, quirky. And she has a very Clark haircut of like the short hair.
Fair.
I feel like she's definitely gonna, I feel like her future, she's gonna go to Clark. She's gonna dye her hair purple. I don't know anybody who actually dyes their hair purple at Clark though. I don't know anybody like that.
No.
I don't know anybody. And then she's gonna be like an international relations major. Second idea is the villain Alice. She just gives me that vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like
she gives me very femme fatale, which feels very Clark for whatever reason. I don't know why.
I feel like she would go to Clark. I feel like she went to Clark and then dropped out and then had to become a person
spy.
who works for terrorist organizations, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I think the parrot would go to Clark. Like, that parrot is wicked smart.
Wicked
fair.
smart.
Wicked smart. He'd be like a pet. The parrot would be a pet, and the parrot would learn from engineering studies.
He would.
I don't even think Clark has engineering, but
I mean, I guess Alex could go to Clark because he's smart, but I feel like people would not like him.
She's too annoying. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't like Alex.
he feels like more of a stuck-up Harvard or Yale kid. Or
He
Princeton.
seems like
Yes.
an Ivy League
Yeah.
guy.
Yes.
Ivy League
Oh, yeah.
prick. The one who wears like the boat shoes and like the classic cape look, the khakis and the collared golf shirt.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who have like blonde hair that goes to like about here.
Yep.
Sometimes it's curly, sometimes their name is Ethan.
I feel a little attacked right now. Okay.
Oh, it was meant, you were meant to.
All right. I would pay about 1 cent for this. Dirt cheap. I'm
Whoa,
sorry.
Hold up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can go.
Okay, here's what I would pay for it. Here's the plan. I see it at a yard sale. It's on a table where like nothing else is, and I'm trying to make a deal with the person. I'm buying an armchair. It's about $40, and I want it to be like $35, and they say I'll throw in this Home Alone 3 DVD, and I say that's garbage, and they say okay, $35, but I'll just put it in anyways because I want to get rid of it. I'll say okay.
Right.
That's how
Okay.
much I'll pay for
So
it.
nothing.
Wow.
I will. It will have to be given to me.
Yeah.
Forcefully.
I kind of agree. I was kind of peeved when I saw I had to pay $5 for it. I thought I'd be able to find it somewhere for free. Then I would volunteer to watch this, but I'm not paying anything for this movie.
I was gonna say like $2 because I thought it wasn't that bad, but apparently you guys didn't like it. You know, I thought comparing it to the first two, it was not as good, but it was kind of entertaining.
Of course,
So I was
Ethan
like
likes it.
Hey,
Of course.
don't sway your decision upon Ava's beliefs.
I'm not. I still
Keep-
don't
keep
think
the
it's
peak
I'm
$2.
out of
very
this one.
influential.
All right. So Ethan would pay $2. I would pay 1 cent. Ava would pay nothing, and Flora will also pay nothing.
Please.
Oh,
Oh, you
right.
have to come up with a scenario though to get it for nothing.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because like he was
okay.
forcibly giving it to me. It's not like I'm stealing it for nothing. It's like
Right.
someone is burdening me with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, my scenario,
Yeah.
it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. I've been scrolling through YouTube for the last, I don't know, 4 hours.
Watching
and
$5 movie bin videos.
Of course.
absolutely,
My
obviously.
favorite channel.
And then I see it in my recommended and it says watch for free now. And then I go, okay. And so then I click on it and then I watch 5 minutes and then I skip halfway through the movie and I watch another 5 minutes and then I skip to the end of the movie and I watch another maybe 2 minutes and then I exit out of the film. That's it.
All right. I like that.
Thank you.
I like
Yeah.
That whole thing reminded me of the John Mulaney bit where he's like with the airlines and he's like, they go, here, take this. And I go, okay. And he goes, okay. Here, take this meal voucher that doesn't work. Go fetch. And I say, okay.
He's a very funny man. Yeah.
All right. So that's the end of our episode. Thank you for tuning in.
Smash that dislike button. Smash that unsubscribe.
Yeah, why not?
We're too quirky to want the clout.
They don't know we're bad yet.
Just kidding.
We're awesome. I think you should like and subscribe. We also have our music linked in our bio for this channel. Thank you so much to Lewis for letting us use your music. You can stream New Wave and many other of his songs at the link in our bio. All right. Thank you so much.